Hey, you guys. Kind of one of those days. I wasn't going to go live today because I've come down with some kind of crud. I think it's the crud my husband gave me. But I just had one of those experiences that I have to just rant about. And I'm hoping that other people, that it's not just me being crazy, that other people have these awful experiences with dealing with customer support of various places. You see, my eyes are all swollen. I've been crying this morning to beat the band. This started because I was on Do Good Letters on her stream this morning, and we're talking about a book club. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I used to write for Pathos for almost 10 years. Now I just do my own thing. Well, Do Good Letters decided is trying to do a book club. She wanted to do The House of the Seven Gables. I think that's by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Hey, Maria. So she started talking about this. And so the first thing I did was run on to Amazon and look for a Kindle version of the book. It's been years since I read that, probably high school or college. And I love history, so it seems like a good thing to revisit. This last year, one of the things that I've done during the pandemic is I've revisited the writings of various eras. I visited the writings from the 1950s, the 1960s, The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. I read Valley of the Dolls. It was eye-opening and trashy. I read all these different books from different eras, and it's been eye-opening because it's shown me, if nothing else, how quickly our culture changes everything. I mean, everything. So anyway, long story short, I went into Amazon to download the book. I found it for 99 cents. Hit buy. And I get this darling little message about my credit card being declined, being invalid. Hey, Kentucky girl. So I was like, what the heck is this? So my credit card company that I have connected to Amazon, and it's one that's only in my name, and I only use for that. They had blocked me. Yeah, hey, that Amber chick. I don't know if you're going to say that after I start ranting. Well, anyway, long story short, this particular credit card is one I've had all kinds of problems with lately. Last 4 or 5 months, every time I go to log in the account online, I've not been able to log in. They keep saying, you got to be able to have a text message to you. They kept telling me that my phone here could not receive a text message. Even the phone where I have an American number, even though I text family members back and forth. So we've been going round and around on this. I've called so many times. I called about maybe a little over a week ago about this very thing because I hate calling them up, listening to an automated voice spell out my purchases and then hit pay. So I can't get into this card. I cannot get into it online. So over a week ago, I called. And keep in mind that I've had a stroke, so I don't remember everything under the sun. And I was already stressed out because every time I've dealt with these people, it's been stressful. A week ago, they started asking me what job did I put down when I opened the card. Well, I said, I don't even remember what year I opened the card. That's how long I've had it. So you're going to have to give me a clue about what year the card was opened before I could even begin to answer that question. They said, we can't do that. That's identifying information. Somebody might be trying to steal that account information. Like, what? Like I said, up until 4 months ago when this happened, and it would happen because I always go through VPNs here and I always reset my VPN address. Take that, KJ, for your VPN, for your IP address Safari. You'll never chase me down. So it didn't go well because I couldn't tell her what job it was. I started spitting out names because I've worked part-time at various places through the years. When I need money, I'll work for a while here, run there, blah, blah, blah. So since they couldn't tell me the year, I couldn't spit out a job name for them. And I tried using Pathos because that was I did that for 10 years, and I thought maybe the card was under 10 years. No, it was not. Apparently, it was over. So it didn't go well. And they said, well, we're going to have somebody from our fraud department call you back in 48 hours. So I gave them the number. They never called. Never called, never called, never called. Okay, been buying books all week, no problem. Go this morning to download The House of the Seven Gables, and I get this, your card is invalid notice. And I was like, what? And I've had this thing, like I said, so long, I don't even remember what year I opened it. So that involved a 35-minute odyssey on the phone with the credit card company. Thankfully, this time, the security questions the people in the fraud department asked me were things I could remember. And I kept telling them, look, I've had a stroke. I'm not the most swift mentally. You need to give me something of a break. I've had this card forever, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I finally did get it resolved, but not without crying a whole lot in frustration. Dealing with these people is a pain in the ass. And then at the same time, as you can see behind me, look at all the quilts and sheets I have in a basket and stuff. Actually, mad. I was able to resolve it finally without doing that. I'm glad, because the creds. Oh, VPN, yes. I've always told them, Cheryl, that I live here. I'm traveling back and forth. Any place between Costa Rica and DC, they're likely to see charges, especially at airports. And I've never had a problem until this moment, until 4 months ago, when they changed how they were allowing you to get that code to go back into your account. So I'm verified for now. I can go back into my account online. I can look at charges. I can do this. I can do that. We'll see how long that lasts, because I don't have a U.S. number. Well, let me rephrase that. I do have a U.S. phone number. My U.S. phone number, I text other people. The credit card company is saying they can't text me at it. I find that very suspicious. So we'll see. We'll see. If it becomes a problem, I will just close that account and use something else, because a credit card you can't even see the statement on or close is useless. So back to my huge pile of quilts and sheets in the basket and all that. What time is it now? It is 10:18 a.m. Okay. So while I'm screaming on the phone to the credit card people and crying like a freak, I'm waiting for the guys to come from the new cable provider. The new cable provider that is giving me better service to be able to live stream, that sucks at customer service, apparently. They put all of the lines, when they put the TV in here last week, when they put the cable in, they put them all along the floor. They attach them to our nice baseboards, and I am upset. So I went in, I took pictures and brought it in, and we showed the supervisor. My husband took pictures, I should say. And he said, that's unacceptable. So they're coming back today to do it. It was supposed to be 9 a.m. We're at 10:18 here. I know in the States you're at noon and 11, and some people are at 10 like me. Maria, I've never used them on my phone. I might have to download their app and go that way, because multiple trips to UAE and a kitchen remodel. Oh, oh my goodness, Lisa, I've never had that problem. One of our cards. One day I was sitting at my desk doing bum fiddling around, and my husband called and said, where's your credit card? And I said, it's in my wallet. And he said, get it right now. So I had to go physically go get my card and say, I'm holding my card in my hand right now. Somebody had jacked our number, and it hit like 30 charges, like with about an hour, including $400 worth of groceries at a Food Lion in North Carolina. Somebody paid all their traffic tickets with it in New York City. Somebody spent $100 at a Rite Aid in New Jersey. It was all within 6 p.m. Yeah. It was all over the place. Every bit. Al Qaeda stolen, at least that's a crazy story. Long story short, they stopped it immediately. They called my husband. The fraud department caught it within the hour, called my husband and said, hey, looks like there's been a pile of fraudulent charges. So they closed it and they rejected the charges. We figured out finally that the charges came from, you're going to laugh or else you're going to cry. I don't know. From the from the cafeteria in the federal office building he was working at. That is how the card number got stolen. Apparently somebody went into their system at the federal cafeteria and they stole all the information. You would think in a federal building that is super secure that they would have super security on the card numbers used to buy brownies and Diet Coke. But no, they did not. So, and then when I moved here, it was stolen. And it was stolen while I was on the road. So one of the places I gassed up at had a skimmer that I did not notice. And suddenly we were getting charges for $100 of stuff in California at the 7-Eleven. Again, our credit card company caught it quickly and rejected all the charges back onto the merchant because they were fraudulent. So I got to say, that's the good side. And this is the same credit card company I was dealing with this morning. It's just a different card we have through them. So some of them they're good. And I think they're almost too security conscious because I have another card that I called the other day because I needed to update our address. I needed to get new cards because ours were expired. And they asked me two simple questions that anybody who had ever researched me could have answered to get into the account. So it's like, what the hell is going on? So that's my rant. Is this getting worse or better since COVID? Or maybe customer service has always sucked and I've just never had to deal with it. I'm upset this morning because of, oh, hey, do good letters. Look, I'm drinking out of my chief sitting bullshit and his sister squaw's coffee cup this morning. Mid-morning. So I'm not sure. All plane trips from London to the UAE. Oh my goodness, that would be a mess. I haven't had that kind of experience, but this is bad enough. And that's really the only ones I've had is when I first moved here and somebody jacked my card from a skimmer, and when the lunchroom at the Postal Square building, when they got hacked. And I'm guzzling because I'm trying to kill my cold enough to go to PriceSmart. I was already supposed to be on my way to PriceSmart. PriceSmart here is the same thing that Costco is in the States. Same products. The products, instead of saying Kirkland, they say Members Choice. Same labels, same font, same everything. And I'm not mad about that because I actually like certain things I can only get there that you can't get here, like frozen blueberries. Frozen blueberries are life. There are 3 vegetables I try to eat every day here, vegetable fruits. I try to eat blueberries. I try to eat avocados. I've got an avocado tree in the back. And I try to eat spinach. The spinach is also problematic because it's mostly from here, and the spinach that we have here is not the same as the spinach in the States. So I'm such an entitled gringo. I am eating imported spinach, imported cherries, imported blueberries. Oh, so that is me. That is me, stupid gringo with money, buying horrible shit. Not even with much money, even though I'm going to say that. International airline pilot. Oh my goodness. Thank you, that Amber chick. I'll use that for my yarn when I go back in just under 3 weeks. Oh, wow. That is really too bad, Cheryl. That is really too bad that they would keep jacking it. We have a dedicated card that we only use for traveling too. and I've not had problems with it being jacked. It was just, like I said, the one when I was driving down to Louisiana to hop on the plane for Costa Rica, because I had to take my car to New Orleans so they could board a big ship, basically. So they were to charge me to take it down, or I could take it down myself. I took it down myself. I was going to see my mother anyway. So it's insane. I swear. I wish companies would treat their employees and, most importantly, customers right. It's a dang shame. You were right, that Amber chick. Now here, these guys, they're an hour and 26 minutes late. I've come to expect that here. That's part of their culture. That's really part of their culture. I'm looking for okay, here we go. That is part of the Tico culture. Their Tico time is real. They're late for everything but their funeral. And even then, probably the mourners would be late. It's just a very laid back, manana attitude that I always say the sloth best represents. They're the sweetest, kindest people. They're very honest. They're very hardworking. But the two things that I struggle with sometimes is the manana and their ability to, well, not all of them. There are some of them that are petty thieves that you have to watch out for. When we had been here in the house about a year, I had my wedding ring stolen, and I had some just inexpensive pieces of jewelry stolen. The funny thing is they completely blanked on all the really expensive pieces of jewelry. They left it. I guess they thought it was gaudy junk, and they took the cheap stuff. And I got a new tacky ring. So there's that. I got a ring with a bigger stone. So, oh well, it is what it is. That was my mother's diamond that was in my ring they stole. So it was a little sad. It was a sad day. Yeah, and they treat us like we are the enemy. You're exactly right. That's just what Lisa, and I try not to ever act like a Karen. This morning while this was going on, I was just crying. I wasn't making nasty demands. I was just crying, trying to get back into my bank account. Because we are in the era of Karens, and you really have to, especially if you're of a certain age, if you're from middle age on up, you really have to struggle not to be a Karen when things go haywire. And things will go haywire. I've had times where I think the best example of that was my flight back to the U.S., where I got to Baltimore, Washington Airport. The line was huge. I was there 3 hours before the flight, like I've been told I have to be for international. The queue was just huge, and the gate agents were forcing us all to use self-check-in. I knew that was ridiculous for me because self-check-in never works if it's an international flight. So what was so horrible about it is these people were yelling at us and pushing us hither and yon. And I got up to the front of a queue for baggage check and fell down on my bags while the person was yelling at me. They were closing their queue. And I had to get to the back of the other queue because I have no balance and there was no wheelchair there for me or anything. That was possibly a Karen moment for me, but I didn't yell and scream. I did like I did this morning. I cried. I just busted into tears. And all the GIs in line took pity upon me, picked up my luggage and carried it and me over the front of the other line and said, "You're going to wait on this woman now. She's not going to wait." So there's that. So I don't get that if you're the enemy, how they treat you like the enemy. It's crazy because I've said this before about American Airlines. Their people at the gates and on the planes are wonderful. They were so nice to me. And they kept upgrading my seats, and that was wonderful. I've never had that happen on Delta, and I've flown Delta mostly. And I like Delta. Delta is good, but I've never been treated so well as those people did. But it was when you were checking your luggage and where the people at the gates were awful, horrible. I couldn't believe it. Exactly. I've got already sweet and calm with customer service. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Lisa, I do too. Like I said, I called another credit card company the other day because I needed A, to change the address, and B, order new cards. So I called them, and try to be super nice because of that. Part of the thing is, I don't know about anybody here has ever worked customer service, but after I had worked at the clinic and gotten fired for having an asthma attack, yeah, I got fired for having an asthma attack because the head doctor said that I was, quote, faking it. That was when a month or two later, I discovered I had mast cell when I went to a critical care pulmonologist as a result of the asthma attacks. I was in the bushes throwing up and I couldn't breathe. My coworkers had to haul me across the parking lot to the hospital where I could get treatment. And the doctor I worked for said, she's faking it. You're fired. So I couldn't get a real job in my field for a long time after that. I mean, a long time, because they'd say, what about these years? What happened? I said, well, I worked for the clinic so-and-so, and they fired me for having an asthma attack. So they call for a reference, and people would say, don't hire her, she's crazy. I may be crazy. I may be crazy, but I wasn't crazy about that. The wait staff at Amsterdam residents suffer stiffen up when they hear English. Cheryl, that's the same thing here. That's the same thing here. And it's kind of funny because we've been here now long enough where they know. Well, anyway, back to my other story. I'm going to finish up first. I'm so ADD this morning. So the only job that I could get, and I mean, I interviewed everywhere, application after application, resume after resume, and I could not get a job anywhere for 6 months. I had unemployment and I ran it right down to the last week before I finally found a job, and I was actively looking all that time. I went to work for customer service for an international floral company. Not 1-800-Flowers, but one of 1-800-Flowers subsidiaries. And I worked their customer service line for like three and a half years. And I got to tell you, that is where I developed my rhino hide, because when you're dealing with flowers, you are dealing with something that has such a emotional connection that when it goes haywire, people lose their minds. While I was working there one time, we had a guy that threatened to firebomb the place because his flowers didn't arrive. One Valentine's Day, I had a lady who swore up and down that she was going to sue me personally and then sue the company because her flowers did not arrive on Valentine's Day. Said she was a producer at Disney and I should know better than to provoke a producer at Disney. When I went in, I looked at her order, I could see that she placed it online at like 5 p.m. for same-day delivery on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, they cut off deliveries. Oh, at least I did sue and win. Valentine's Day, they cut off deliveries very early. They have to, because florists run out of flowers is what happens with Valentine's Day. So we wouldn't even take orders after a certain point. And I would warn people after a certain point when I knew the florists were running low, because I've been talking to the florists. I would warn people. I would sometimes call them and say, your florist says he does not have this, but he has this instead. Is it okay if he makes a substitution? We just want to get something out to your sweetie. So anyway, she ordered way after cutoff time. She ordered online. The online thing would have said, we'll deliver the next business day. She ignored all that and started screaming at me and telling me that because we had not delivered her order to her girlfriend was now in the locked psych ward at Cedars-Sinai. And she wanted us to deliver a double order for free to the psych ward. And I had to tell her, psych ward deliveries are very problematic. There's so many things. You can't deliver anything in glass. It's got to be plastic vase. You can't deliver candy. Balloons can be problematic even. They have all these rules about ICU and psych wards. There's all these rules about what you can and cannot deliver. So it didn't go well. And she was just real. I think she was the most Karen of all the Karens I ever talked to. And I was pretty good at calming people down and resolving the things. I was so good at it. The company had letters of accommodation for people to say, I called up and I was all upset and Suzanne took care of it and she did X, Y, and Z for me. So there was that. So there's just crazy people that you have to deal with. And Cheryl, it was that way here too, except that I will say this. If in the tourist areas, if they know you're local, they know you live here year round, and you're not a Karen or a Chad or Ken or whatever you want to call a male Karen, they're real nice. They'll do anything for you. You go, reach out to them. It's like my vet asked me the last one times when I went back to the States if I would bring some plastic cat and dog doors back for her. I was like, sure. You make friends here. And if you're local and you're halfway nice, they give you discounts for being local. They don't charge you the tourist price for a lot of the stuff. They say, okay, I'm giving you the local price. Like, okay, that's cool too. But at the same time, if you move here and you're entitled to gringo, you're going to pay the tourist price and nobody's going to like you. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to stop and try to help you. So that's the weird thing about Texan living in the Netherlands. Yep, you are. You most definitely are. So Cheryl is in the Netherlands. I'm in Costa Rica. Sue M, who I adore, is in Australia. We're kind of the KJ Truther community is a scattered international one, which kind of makes me laugh because, and I don't even know Cheryl if you even pose her, but we're pretty much an international group here. And it's interesting, the stuff that varies from place to place. I saw earlier some people were talking about they could not come from England or they could not have their relatives come from England to visit them in the U.S. because apparently England is not, America's not open to the English for some reason right now, which I don't quite understand. It must have to do economically because it's sure open to Costa Rica right now. You can skedaddle from there to here and here to there, no problem. I've done it. Even though our rates are insanely high here, we're rounding up on 3,000 a day now. And those are just the reported ones. I'm thinking there are a lot more that are not reported. We got high levels, they got high levels. I guess we're just exchanging all the COVID strains, the Argentina one, the one from Colombia, and the Peruvian one, I guess, and all the Delta variants. Now, I think there's 2 of those from what I was reading. And then there's, what's the other one, Epsilon? Cheryl, I love living here too, and you were right. It is sometimes frustrating, but usually wonderful. You have to actually, just accept the culture as it is. You can't try to change it. And I know it's that way there too. I lived in Germany for some years and I loved it. I would go back in a heartbeat. And I imagine the Netherlands is much the same way, having been there myself a few times. Here they come. Okay, they've come to replace the cable. We are at 10:39, so they are almost an hour and 40 minutes late. And this is typical. This is typical Tico time. So I'm going to have to go because I got to let those guys into this bedroom to replace the cable. And I'm going into my sewing room where I can have some peace and experience some little bit of nirvana, even though I'm stuck on one of my quilts, and I'm going to move on to another one until I resolve the problem, because it is a problem. They do remember for local. They see me a lot, Jenna. They see me a lot. I'm pretty sure they probably do with you too, Cheryl. When I go to the Auto Mercado, there are people there that work there that remember me, and so they take me in their lines over others sometimes. There are people, especially in our local grocery store, which is the Mega Super, they know us. We walk in there, it's like, high five, my friend, you know. How are you doing? Que pasa? Muy bien, ¿y tú? You know, you start talking. And my Spanish is still pretty pigeon, but I've learned how to have conversations in the grocery store with everyone that works there, and how to talk to the cashier about. No, I don't need a taxation. I don't need a emailed receipt. I don't need a special tax certificate. Manana, manana. I'm using my credit card, the whole 9 yards. And they are here and they're coming in, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and go. Y'all have a great day. Okay, you can come in.